call the meeting to order. Stand for the pledge, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
One moment of silence. You can be seated. Everybody received a copy of their minutes from last month's meeting. Do I have any additions or corrections?
No.
Does anyone make a motion to accept the minutes as given? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Treasurer's report, everyone should have a copy of their treasurer's report. Any questions on the treasurer's report?
Make a motion to pay vouchers 1 through.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
I'm getting ahead of yourself, Rick.
Okay.
I can still make a motion to
You can
accept
make a
the
motion.
treasurer's report.
You can. Do I have a second? I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Alright, on to the bills. Everyone should have a copy of the vouchers to be paid. Are there any questions?
I have no question.
Okay. Would you like a motion?
I'll make a motion to pay vouchers 1 through 28 for $36,482.04.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Tony?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Becky?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
General information, commissioner election. We'll have one position coming up for election this year. The last day to notify the district secretary in writing of your intent to run for the office is November 20th of 2019. The notice will be going into the paper shortly. And if anybody has any questions, they can ask one of the board members or they can ask me. In addition, I know we've talked about this, I know I've sent an email, but just I'll say one last reminder. All letters for upcoming chiefs positions and line officers positions need to be into the district by November 1st so that we can review eligibility. Moving on to administration, I have gotten the first pass of employee evaluations done and should be ready to have them, well, I was going to do them at the workshop, but since I'm not going to be here for the workshop, I'll have them ready for the November meeting. If I can get them done before the individuals, I will, but I'll plan for the November meeting. And that's all I have on the administration side. Financial, there was a option to change payroll companies and move from our current paychecks to ADP. We were given some information last meeting on this. Does anybody have any questions on the information that was given?
I don't have any questions. I looked it over, plus my employer uses ADP, so I mean, it's very easy. You can do a paperless, you can sign in, you can do all sorts of print your W-2s online. So I mean, it's certainly beneficial. I guess my only comment is I wonder if we should wait and start at January 1st so that we're not two different pay companies throughout the year, just
I
to
had the
keep
same
things
thought.
from being confusing.
Yeah.
But I am all in favor of moving to them. I would just recommend January 1st.
I said the same thing when Tony and I had a conversation about it.
I thought she
mentioned something about still only, they would handle all the W-2s for the whole year.
Yes, I think she did. But she did mention that if we could have done this last month, she would have a new quarter to work with.
All right.
Yeah, I would prefer just to start at January 1st, just to keep it clean.
That's fine with me. I have to go to commissioners meeting.
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna make a motion to change from Paychex to ADP as our payroll company, effective 1/1/2020.
Plus that'll give her a couple of months to get all this stuff together in one packet.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Anything else on financial?
I don't think so. I don't have anything
Okay.
spectacular.
All right, truck maintenance, Tony?
The only thing, I just gotta get Rescue 7 inspected, but other than that, I have no report.
Did we ever end up getting that letter that we were waiting for on the truck?
Awesome question. I talked to Brindley Mountain. You're talking the ladder test, the ultrasound test. I talked to them today, and it was due as of 1 o'clock this afternoon. They didn't have it, but it was supposed to be there today. So today or tomorrow.
We had an inquiry on ladder 3 today.
You did?
At 5 o'clock today, I got an inquiry from Wood River, Illinois. At this point, they're very interested in that truck.
Well, hopefully I'll have that test, and then I'll call them tomorrow. I'll get with you after the meeting.
I told him, I said, make a hell of a deal for you. That and an American La France, and he says, I got one of them.
He's in the same boat. Yeah, hopefully, that if the test results come back like I believe they're going to, we're gonna be set. Doesn't help us with ladder 2 debacle, but as far as selling, but ladder 3, we get that test done, we're gonna be golden. That's it.
I was there with the guy. He was surprised that they even wanted to do it. His preliminary look underneath the truck was, why am I here? You know, he thought it was in pretty good shape, but really wanted the ultrasound done anyway, so he did it.
Are the other trucks going up on the site? Have we decided that yet?
Well, we have to do the resolution to sell them. We haven't done that yet because we
Oh, that's
had the
right
wrong.
too. You had the wrong info. Sorry.
It's okay. But I think Rescue 6 you're working on, right?
Oh, Rescue 6 is gone.
Rescue's gone. All right, well, what am I thinking of?
Chief's vehicle.
Oh, that was the one we were talking about, Chief's vehicle. Okay. All right, so nothing else? Good?
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Jeff, building and grounds?
I spoke with the gentleman from RLS. He is gonna fix the couple boo-boos they did. He had to order a piece of metal, so he hasn't done it yet. Last few things, the washer and dryer room are just about complete, so the sink's gonna get hooked up to the plumber. No cost, it was part of the original plumbing, hopefully next week or so. And then that pretty much will be done in that room. Cost, I don't think we have to buy anything more expense-wise. And then the other thing I got with Klein Heating to go ahead and get the boilers up and ready, whatever he has to do to get them ready for that time of year. So, other than that. And the parking lot project is kind of going.
I have some stuff on the parking lot that me and Jeff talked about. Do we want to do that now?
Yeah, sure.
Jeff came over and looked at the parking lot, and I sent out an email to everyone a while back after we looked at it about going to the edge of the building and this 50 by 60. When we met with the paving guy, he made the same suggestion. He said, by not doing that, you're going to be making repairs to that because you're straight back to a gravel part of it. So we asked him what the additional cost would be. I did get it. I mean, it's up to you. I wrote up the resolution. It said you have to do a change order because the change is considered a modification or alteration of the original bid. The additional work is considered simple modification, and there was some unanticipated obstructions discovered by the contractor, which was the fencing, because we decided to go all the way to the wall. He sent us a quote for $6,000 to take it all the way to the building. I tried to get this done prior, but because of the meeting changes and not having a meeting and going 2 weeks later, I didn't get it all into everybody, other than the email I sent. So, if you want to pass a resolution, we can have them go ahead and do that. That includes, the $6,000 includes the asphalt up to the building and the asphalt in front of the sheds. And of course the fencing, and that to be all removed by Northwest Fire District, which Jeff has already done because it had to be changed anyway, and we didn't have anything out front, and we really need something out front, or the front of that building's gonna be all banged up within a year. So, I don't know if you just wanna do it now, later, under new business, or what. I can give us all a copy of the resolution, the change order, and a copy of his pricing if you would like it.
Where is it? Where is the paving going now?
The paving now is only going right to the end of the building.
Okay.
We tried to trying to keep the price down. We had an amount we had to stay under, so we didn't do that. But because he came in so low, we're still under what we anticipated paying when he redid it, and Jeff talked to him about it, and they kind of agreed that it would be better if it went all the way to the edge of the parking lot, so you're not dragging the stone and everything back up on the new pavement, so. Again, that's up to everyone. You have one? You can give everybody one already?
Give everybody. The resolution, which one? The resolution.
I gave you.
1932.
It's in the agenda.
Here's some copies of it if they want them. There's the bid and the email I sent out back on September 6th regarding it. Made one of them for everybody. Want to read it? That includes all the lines and everything, because Jeff asked him that question. Everybody got one? Okay. It's gonna be a cost savings. I don't know if it'll be a cost savings. I mean, it's gonna cost us now, but down the road, it may, with pulling the stone and that back onto the pavement. Isn't that what he said, Jeff? Step in here anytime, buddy.
Well,
You were there.
originally, they were only gonna pave up to the guardrails, not up tight to the building, and I just don't think, you're still gonna have weeds and everything, it's not gonna be a clean look. So that's why I took the railings down, and why it's 6,000 is because it's all handwork. They gotta do it by hand to that point, and then they can use their machine. That's paving, that's the paving.
Jeff, if we do this one time, right, I mean,
You won't have that, you'll have from the building to the guardrail. If you do it now, you're gonna have run across there with weeds and everything growing. If you do it up to the building, and then you'll have that clean look, you won't have that problem. But they have to go around all the posts and everything, it's all handwork until they get it, that's the problem. Really wanted us to pull the post out, pave it, and then put the post in, but I didn't. Pain in the ass. No, I don't have that kind of machinery to do stuff like that.
So if you wanna do it, go ahead. Well, that would've been 8,000.
And as far as the holes in the front of the building for the posts, Bruce Butler's gonna do that when he does the fence. And the department told Bruce just to put it on the bill, and whatever the amount was that you were giving them, that's still all they want. They'll take care of the post holes out front.
one more clarification, Jeffrey.
Yes.
This finishes our parking lot issue, the whole smash,
Everything.
both sides,
Both
front.
sides, yep.
We're not worrying about the concrete, it's all done, everything's done.
Everything will be done.
Striping
striping is included in that original price, I believe.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna read the resolution and then we can go on it. Resolution 1932, whereas the Board of Fire Commissioners of the Northwest Fire District pursuant to General Municipal Law 103-4 may issue a change to a contract bid pursuant to public bidding requirements of General Municipal Law 103, and whereas the board makes the following findings of fact relative to the request for the change order. 1, the change is considered a modification or alteration to the original bid. 2, the additional work is considered simply a modification or alteration of the original main contract and not necessarily a new undertaking. And 3, where there were unanticipated obstructions discovered by the contractor. Now therefore, it is resolved by the Board of Fire Commissioners of the Northwest Fire District, the project of purchase, install 2.5 of TY asphalt on 50 by 60 area in the front of shed, install 2.5 inch of TY asphalt all the way to the sides of the building on both sides, fencing, AC units, and other obstructions to be removed by the Northwest Fire District prior to the paving operation. And it is therefore exempt from the public bidding requirement, General Municipal Law 103, and according to the project for purchase need not be rebid.
Tony?
Yes.
Rick?
No.
Becky?
Yes.
Jack?
Yes.
Jeff, did you have anything else?
What's your question?
I have something for you that we got to talk about later.
Okay.
Okay. I just got it tonight, instead of talking about it.
Request a purchase from the prior meeting. Wayne had RTP 1584, which is the EMS supplies, and I think there was some question around the tourniquets. And I know I thought,
Well, I think we all had questions. Why do we need 60?
there was going to be a conversation between
Yeah.
Tom and John, because the coalition was doing something, and you were, I don't know if you guys have talked, if we,
The coalition is buying, one kit for every department that wanted it, only a couple wanted it, and I bought 3 additional kits. So that all the stations would have at least one, rapid lead kit. So I looked at well, actually, John and I looked at the list that they put together for those rapid lead kits. I thought it was excessive, but I said, I'll yield to John because he's the medic, I'm just an EMT, but I just thought what they were preparing for the town to buy, I thought was a bit excessive, but he can build on that.
So the kits, to start with that topic, the kits consist of a lot of equipment that you wouldn't necessarily use in a mass bleeding situation. I would assimilate the kits to more of a BLS bag that has tourniquets in it. It only has 2 tourniquets. It does not have any quick clot in it. It does not have any clotting bandaging gauze in it because of the expense. So they're not included in those kits. It has splinting, SAM splints and stuff like that, which you're not going to use in a mass bleeding situation. And unfortunately, what we're discussing is preparing for a large bleeding situation or somebody that has multiple injuries and is going to require multiple tourniquets. The kit comes with 2 tourniquets each kit, that's all. There's no more in there. And as everybody knows, generally the population has 4 extremities which could require a tourniquet. So it's incomplete. It would need 2 additional tourniquets to even function at that. The kits, if we did purchase them, are a good start. We would have to supply them with different supplies that are not included in there, which would be included in some of the supplies that I listed. As far as why we need so many tourniquets, again, 60 tourniquets, you divide that by 4, it's only 15 people you're treating, potentially. And the kits would be divided amongst the stations closest to our center population as for the response vehicles, etc. And then we make up smaller kits with at least a few tourniquets to go on all of the squads out of that 60. So it wouldn't be compiled in one place. But as we look at it right now, we have 4 squads in the district that respond normally and regularly to EMS calls or may respond to a large incident. So if you put just a small number of tourniquets on those 4 squads, we're really not even that many. And we need to be prepared for the events. The Onondaga County has come out with a new behavior code, aggressive deadly behavior for such incidents as this, for dispatch specifically for these type of incidents, again in preparation. So it's unfortunate, but it's a matter of when, not if, that they're going to be needed. And tourniquets don't expire.
We have started the preliminary, I met with the police department this morning. We're starting an overall plan for that disaster should it happen. So everybody be on the same page. Sad to say that you have to be, training for that or even talking about it, but unfortunately it's a fact of life today.
Well, if they're doing it as a group, it's not like you're only gonna have your 4 squads showing up. If something like that happens, you're gonna have a whole lot of people there.
Hopefully.
What's interesting, we look at the number 60 and think, whoa, that's my original thought is 60. One incident at the school, God forbid. 60 doesn't cut it. And we are, and I do hear what Jack's saying about being, but realistically, with our makeup and our geographic location, we're it for a while. We're solo for a little while.
Well, and you don't know what people surrounding you are stocking themselves with, so you can't assume that they have.
That's kind of where I'm going. I originally, honestly, guys, girls, I was thinking 60's too many, but looking at the way we just broke it down, it's basically $539.40 for 60 tourniquets. Like Chief Rosique broke down, it's 15 people, and they don't expire. In the end, we don't want to say, well, we're not going to get that large-scale incident, right? It'd be awesome if we could say we'll never use those. I don't know, I think I shouldn't say I think, I'd like to make a motion to go ahead with RTP 1584 for a total of $1384.30.
I'll second it. The money's there in the budget.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Carried. Alright, we had 2 RTPs from Tom from the prior meeting, RTP 1638 for the annual PMs on the first tools for $2,441, and RTP 1639 to Northern Lights Tower for extrication class vehicles of $800 for a total of $3,241.45.
Discussion.
Yep.
We paid a bill, RTP 1636, for Hearst Tool repairs for that same exact amount. Didn't we already approve this?
You may have.
I don't think it's been approved yet. I think there was 2 RTP numbers at the last meeting.
Yeah, we have 2 RTPs. I actually have 2 RTPs for this bill.
Okay.
So there's one
You
bill, but
duplicated, Tom.
So we
My
never
bad.
approved
My bad, I
1636.
didn't know you had one.
Are you saying it
I
was
got the
okay?
copy of the bill.
I'm sure it's in there, it's just a question of whether we approved it at a prior meeting. Because I wrote it down when I came across it, because I saw it, I knew it was on the agenda.
Well, if we already approved the bills, then it's been approved and paid, so it's
Right.
Would be
code 4.
Code 4.
Yeah, it's already in here.
Okay, sorry about that.
Sorry,
Okay.
no?
That's okay. I'd rather give you 2 than none
Just
at
want
all.
to make sure you're on your toes.
Is that what it is? We also have double RTPs for the towing for the cars, and I had contacted him. He will bill us
Right.
when you're all done.
That's, yeah, I just wanna make sure you had the RTP.
Yeah.
So you don't need that one either?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Okay.
So we can scratch off all of the ones from the 9/24 meeting?
Yep.
So then we have a couple of new. One that's
If
just,
there's a question mark, he just doesn't have a number for it.
okay.
Yeah, that's
So-
the, I made it out on this one, the equipment thing. So it doesn't have it, doesn't get it.
So there is a request to, Aero Marina to finish install of motor on Water Rescue 2 for $734.24. There's RTP 1689 to Safety First testing for the hydro testing on the SCBA cylinders for $3,100. RTP 1688 to Jerome's for emergency repair to the compressor during the SCBA testing, $45. Looks like there's an RTP that needs to be assigned, requesting for Jerome's to install radio and intercom system for truck 3 for $8,449.60.
That's gotta be a typo.
No, that's for headsets,
Oh.
intercom system.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I might need more discussion on that. RTP 1637 to Gulf Fire for a helmet shield for a safety officer,
I got the copy, Joanne, in case the bill comes in, but he won't,
but there's no price.
for a golfer, he won't do any more helmets unless he has an RTP.
You know, if I could get him to bill to the Northwest Fire District instead of the fire department, we'd be all set.
Any questions?
The only question I had when you said it is the intercom system, that needs some talk.
Yeah, I don't know if that was allotted in the truck purchase.
That is definitely not, well,
So,
maybe we should ask the guy who submitted it.
Yeah, I mean, we've been looking at better communication in the aerial tower, and because of number one, the size of that truck and the noise it generates, we felt it would be better if the people working that truck were not distracted and had their own headsets and communication equipment. So that's basically 2 headsets and the amplifiers and the associated equipment for 2 people in the bucket, an operator at the pump panel, an operator at the turntable, an officer, and there's one more person that usually usually a crew of 6 makes up that truck, and the extra guy would have a headset also. So the beauty part of that is the people working the truck can talk to themselves, or they also have the ability to push a button and also talk to the fire controller, listen to the fire ground conversations. Our main thought for it was to, I don't want to say isolate, it's a poor word, but the people working that truck would be in communication with each other and not necessarily having the background noise that you normally get on a fire scene.
Chief, is that the fire com?
I believe so.
Okay.
I got it right here.
When you were explaining it, sounded like the fire com.
Yeah,
Wireless, I would assume?
Firecom, yeah. There's a company that manufactures it. We've tested it out, not under circumstances, we've tested it out in the fire station.
Yeah,
Talking to
they're
each other.
used nationally all over the country. It's one of the better, probably one of the better product on the market. There's another product called David Clark that's significantly more money. I've seen this in before. It's actually a real good product. Chief, maybe you can explain a little bit bucket operations for some people that don't understand the noise and things along those lines that up in the bucket and the importance of communication between the bucket and the turntable. I think, I mean, it appears to be a lot of money, but I think if you explain a little bit more.
Well, when you're operating out of the bucket, there is an intercom system, but traditionally, even on other aerials that we have, even the aerials we presently have, the communication between turntable and bucket is garbled most of the time. This enables you to get clear communication. There's necessarily noise all the time when those vehicles are operating, especially in a working fire, when you're running, you know, a couple of billiards guns off the top, and the noise of the fire gun in general. So they can, just so you understand, they can operate the bucket independently of the turntable. The guy on the turntable is there in case they get in trouble. And, you know, so we're able to contact with the guy on the turntable. Then we move down the truck a little farther, and you got the pump operator who is operating the pump, which is noisy anyway. And all these things figure together when that truck is in operation. We've always kind of had trouble with communication on ladder trucks. They put intercom systems on there because we usually spec it, but they're far from what I would call efficient for the operation.
Where would the money come from if we went with that? Where would the 8,400 come from?
In the radio account that we haven't used this year for buying radios. I think it's the radio account. I haven't got my budget set. Well, actually, I think I put it on the RTP. I think I put 3410 to communications.
I'm not ready to. If you guys want to, I'm not gonna vote yes for it this because this is the first we're hearing of it. I'd like to be able to research it. I'd like to be able to find out if we've got the money in the accounts.
Yeah, let's just put it on the next agenda. I'll ask the elephant in the room about it. What's the chief got to explain a little bit more? RTP with a question mark, 734 to Aero Marina, because part of the deal with us going with the motor and where we went was it would be installed at the firehouse. What happened?
No, it's never that was going to be installed there. Our member bought it at his cost, but he said he would not install it. We had to find somebody to install it.
I'm not convinced of that.
So it was laid out for Chief Perkins. The purchase route 4 was to purchase the controller, and we could have purchased that under that approved amount. However, the controller, when speaking with the dealership, does not come with the cables or the main wiring harness as we originally believed. So the price of that 734 is the shift, the controller that mounts to the side of the wheelhouse, the 2 cables, 1 throttle, 1 shift cable, the main wiring harness at a length of 15 feet, and a prop, which did not come on the motor, along with some engine oil for it, so it can finish being installed. We can put it in, but we didn't have the funds, and we're not going to try and make that purchase to get the rest of the parts.
As an individual, I'm going to speak for me. Every time that we think we're getting a deal on this boat, we keep coming back since the day we started this project. When is it going to be complete? Right now, it's a 20-year-old boat that I don't even know the number, and here we are going into October. You're gonna winterize it when it's there, I'm assuming.
No, this boat can be used year-round.
I mean, when is it going to be done? I hate to sound that way, but
The original submission to Chief Perkins for these parts was back in early September, but the meeting mess up for September, got it delayed, and after the last meeting, it wasn't presented, so here it is now. So we're about 45 days out from the original request from them.
What I'm getting at is money.
I understand.
When does the hole fill?
So
I think what Tony's talking
I
about.
can't tell you when somebody tells me that they're gonna order a motor and it's coming complete, that I don't know the difference on that. And he
I get
represents
it.
Honda, I figured he would know exactly what he was speaking to.
I get it. Sometimes you're not getting a deal when we get this deal, and that we've got to do
So
it better.
$734 plus the price of the motor. Your closest next bid was $9,374.
Again, sometimes with this board, and I'm part of the problem, has got to do a better job at researching these things. Because this specific project is basically mirrors our project with the washer and dryer. We've got to do a better job across the board. Sometimes we're getting a deal and we just don't get a deal. We just don't get a deal. Our Tarvia comes in. We took that little bit, we saw it, but here we are a month later, comes back with $6,000 additional worth of work. Why does that happen to us? We need to finish the project, but it's just, we've got to do a better job, board, team. I said we. All right, thank you, John. Thanks, Chief.
I guess my only question, John, is, and I understand what you're saying, and I agree with Tony that we gotta do a better job, but I'm about 95% positive that when we got the figure, the question was asked, this includes all the controls and everything else, and we were told, point blank, don't have to worry about the controls, because they just hook right up, and now we're being told they're not. There's gonna be some circumstances when we run into this and have to make a change order because we forgot something. But when the questions are asked,
So the steering controls did hook right up.
pardon?
The steering controls did hook right up. And when I asked a specific question from Honda about the control center, I was told it came with the cables and the wiring harness for that price, which is what I told you at the last meeting.
Remember that.
When I look it up and I go to Honda, I say, I need this, and it comes with all this stuff, and they say, no, it doesn't, after the Honda rep told me it did, how am I supposed to give you information that's different than
No,
what
no,
I
I
have?
get it.
Okay,
Listen,
all right.
we get
And it's
that.
wrong, and I apologize, I should have asked more than one source, but
Yeah.
I don't have that.
Just
ability
going
to back
forward,
up.
we just gotta be careful. I know the boat's not done, because it's sitting in the firehouse and it doesn't have a prop. I asked the chief, both chiefs recently, why is our boat that we spent all this money not done? So this is not new to me. We need it finished, we need it finished. Becky, I'd like to act on that one specifically.
What's the number?
1588.
All right, so assign 1588 to the Aero Marinas. I don't think we can do anything on golfer because we don't have a price, so.
Correct.
So I'll make a motion to pay RTP 1588, RTP 1689, and RTP 1688 for a total of $3,879.24.
I would be willing to second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Opposed? Carried.
What's the total, Becky, we had?
$3,879.24. And before we move on, Tom, do you have any information that you can provide us on the intercom system so we
Yes,
can look at it and,
I
okay,
can say it, I can say it.
so we can pre-prepare for the next meeting?
Yes.
Any other RTPs from either of you that aren't read up?
What do you want me to do with the wildland gear? I can order it, but I don't have any names for the gear to go to, so I can get sizing. The deadline for this is the 31st of October. It should have been ordered 2 weeks ago.
Chief, what's your plan, for the gear? I mean, what's the plan for the gear?
Yeah, the thought was, there was a good chance to try out gear that we could give to non-structural people. Even though it's not a grant anyway. Wildfire equipment, wildland firefighting equipment and equipment that's geared to non-structural are one and the same. Like with my thought, it was a good chance to grab some equipment at a lesser price than what normal turnout gear costs, to try it out with our non-structural people to see how it works out.
It is significantly less. So if I'm not mistaken, Wayne, help me out, they do come in 4X, 3X, 2X, 1X, large, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, they're
So
not necessarily size.
Sure. How many sets did you get approved for?
8 sets.
8.
Eight?
They come up to 8. It's a little more than we wanted, but.
I figured if we ordered a small, a medium, 2 large, 2 extra large, a double X and a triple X, that should cover the good span. But, you know, I just need some kind of direction as far as what you guys want.
I tell you what, I'm gonna make a suggestion if you guys will support this. Talk to Chief Perkins before we leave, figure out the sizes and get them ordered. I don't wanna lose out on the grant, that's irresponsible on our part. Just get them ordered.
And I don't wanna just order them and set them on a shelf up there.
Right, no.
They gotta be used. It's the only way we're gonna know.
I mean, if I don't have names to put it to, I can't.
Yeah, I
order
know, I
sizes
understand,
to
Wayne,
them.
you're right. You need the names so you can, at least we know when they come in, certain people are gonna be wearing them.
Yeah, get with Chief Perkins and then when we're done, get them ordered tomorrow. Thank you.
Huh? How about by Friday?
Figure it out, please. Thank you very much.
Security and computers.
I don't have anything. He's got the stuff now. There was a little, I don't know what happened. Something happened with Amazon. He's getting ready to install the Wi-Fi extenders that we approved, what, a month and a half ago at Eagle Station 1. And the new cards are out here, and hopefully that'll be done within the next week or two. But other than that, unless there's issues with the computers, I don't have anything either.
Yeah, can you talk to him about where he's at with the fob people about Station 2? Every time I update a fob in the last month or month and a half, Station 2 will not connect an update.
Let me add.
And I've sent him emails, and he says he has to talk to, I want to say Glad, but it's not Glad. Who's the?
Doyle.
Thank you. He says he has to talk to Doyle.
I'll call the Doyle guy that is the maintenance, the supervisor for service and that. I'll call him tomorrow. And
It's some type of a communication issue.
Yeah, I will talk to him.
Communication loss or can't connect but.
Right, it keeps changing the IP address. That's what happens.
Oh, I don't know, it doesn't give me that, it just tells me when I go to update the system
Well,
that station
when
won't
he
update.
fixed it the last time, I went up there, not the last time, the time before, he went in and the minute it came up, I said, that IP address is not the same as it was. So we looked it up and he says, you're right, we changed the IP address, and then he rebooted everything and it started communicating. And then the last time, when you had the same problem, it did the same thing, he just changed the IP address. But I will call Brian from Doyle, and I will give him Chris's name, and tell him he's got to call Chris and straighten this out, because you can't have Chris going up there every other week and spending 2 hours worth of labor to put in a new IP address, or you gotta show you and me what the IP address is. We just go in and change it on a monthly basis. I don't know, but I will call Brian in the morning.
Mr. Hopper, safety report?
Yes, a couple items here. Our SCBA hydro tests were successful. Did not have any failures, no failures with the compressor or any equipment. So it went well. The final documents should be available by the end of the week, which we can enter into our system to have that on records. Did make one replacement, or one repair, Tom mentioned that already, which brought the efficiency and the safety margin up for that bank. Talking about the compressors, I'm kind of chatting around and trying to see where people are, where the experts are in bottle filling and temperatures. There's a wide range out there based on manufacturer. We were testing, or doing our testing at a lower temperature and still got hot. The day we did it was 87 degrees outside, which didn't help much either. So, but you know, I even tried a bank at 50 pounds a minute and it heated up. So I think it's going to be a nature of the beast. We're going to have to keep an eye on that. I am seeking out from Scott their numbers so I know what we can fill at, how many pounds per, how many PSI per minute we can fill. Keep us within our safety margin. One thing on the cylinders, you'll see a large silver and black label. If it's missing, you'll see the word void underneath it. Let your station officer get back through to me so we can get a new sticker put on and get it validated. That's how they do it. They're under a sealing coat of epoxy, so normally there shouldn't be a problem unless it takes a direct hit. So, but you'll see those on the cylinders, and it has our hydrostatic test date information on it. First of the year, just some reminders, PESH safety training, everybody's favorite training. Starts January 2nd to be completed by April 1st, 2020. There'll be reminders and class assignments set out. I'm looking at trying to streamline if we can to make it a little more efficient. Annual SCBA inspections, again, we've got that coming up first of the year. I don't have a date yet. I'll get that locked down in probably the next couple of weeks. And finally, a safety committee meeting. We're meeting on the 16th at Beeville Station 1 in Megan. I think we're going to take the office upstairs.
Okay.
It's about the only place left out in the truck bay, so it was difficult, but we finally got a spot to land for that night. And this meeting will start bringing in some of the new people that we've got coming on board so we can get the committee more functional with more people. I think we've got 3 members that have joined the team, Pat Seco, Matt Verkler, and yeah, it was the 3rd one. Anyway, we do have all Halloran, John Halloran. So those 3 have shown an interest. And those are the first 3 we're bringing on board. And we also have participation from this department here, just from Lysander, and also the executive side. So more on that as we develop a program based on the committee concept. Anybody have any questions for me? If not, I have a report.
If I could just piggyback off what Hop said about the bottles, the reason why hot bottles is so important is because when you fill them to 5,500, if the bottle's hot, when they cool down, the air slides back. So you could fill it at the time and it's 5,500, but then when it cools down, you're only left with 3,500 or 4,000 PSI. So it cuts down the amount of time you could be on air. That's why it's such a big deal to these bottles not to heat up. So it's a safety issue. It impacts the amount of time you can be in an IDLH atmosphere with bottles that don't have the maximum amount of air in them. So that's why those hot bottles are.
Yeah, the other piece of it is fragmentation from overheat. Having a bottle fragment in the fill station during overheat. That's why I want to get those temperatures that we're being told that we can use and not exceed them as far as the fill rate and PSI. It's all a matter of how much air you put in and how quickly you put it in. So, and Rick, to your point too, that's important. We got to make sure to keep these cylinders filled to the mark. And sometimes it isn't very easy to do that. Hey, I should come back and do it again. So be it. Anyone else have any questions for me?
Yes. Bill, what is the difference between hydro testing, which was just done, and then down here you've got the annual testing and inspection? What's the difference?
The hydro testing was strictly was done to test the cylinder's capability of holding air, basically.
Oh, okay.
The other one is more of a functional checking
Right.
test of. They look at the cylinders, but they don't get inside of them with a borescope and snoop around like they do with these. It's part of their practice. Good question.
And we're good for 5 years, right?
So those cylinders we just did, we're good for 5 years. Woohoo! But we do have.
That's not annual inspection.
No,
Right.
no, it's every 5 years. And I've staggered the bottles so that the next time this comes up, we may not have quite as big a hit at once. We can do that through controlling the cylinders to get hydro tested through the 5-year period. But, good questions. Anybody have anything else for me?
All right, end report, no one else wants.
Thank you.
I just want to add to that, we stumbled on this guy 2 years ago at the state chiefs conference, and it's a logistical nightmare, the way we used to do hideaway bottles, we had to send so many out from the department. This guy comes in 2 days, it's all done. So it just made, logistically, it made it a lot easier and cheaper in the long run. But, so that's kind of why we went with this guy. Because you're usually 3 or 4 months trying to get hydros done.
You want to go ahead and do your report?
Okay, asking for permission to take the car to Albany this Thursday for a training conference.
Not according to this, it does take care.
According to this, yeah, I thought you were
Yeah.
gonna, said you were gonna take care of all that.
Take care with it.
You can take care.
That's my typo. Just for you today.
I'll try to take care of all of it.
Take care while you're there.
Perfect. Okay, Liz. I want to discuss the replacement of the engine or lack thereof. We seem to be going round and round on what we're going to do. The other night at the Chiefs meeting, we discussed it, and some of the feeling was there, and I would say the majority of us there, after the comment you made a couple of weeks ago about, you know, maybe the truck wasn't that bad, the 2 aerials, that maybe we just keep ladder 2. We can't get any money for it anyway. It ought to last us 2 or 3 more years, or 3 or 4 more years, I think, taken care of. And just go with keeping that and not buying anything at this point, other than maybe putting some money into that truck if we need to. I tentatively set an appointment for that truck on Thursday or Friday, I guess, to go down to Jerome and have him do one more look over to see if there's something that wasn't caught before, anything out there glaring that would negate that suggestion. You know, everything we've come up with so far is money, and as one of the chiefs said, I'd rather deal with what I know than what I don't know. So that's a recommendation, but we gotta make a decision one way or another. Either do that or buy a truck and move on.
I don't disagree with you, something's gotta be done, but
You know, it's, I've beat myself up over trying to figure out what to do, talk with multiple vendors. It's one of those deals, we got approximately 130,000 to find a truck with that we're expecting to last 8 years. That's, the 8-year mark is what puts us back into the vehicle replacement plan. Well, for that 130,000, we're finding trucks in the vicinity of 20 years old, you know, 18 years old, which the irony is that's older than the truck that we're trying to get rid of. So there is calculated risk. Now we've found other trucks that are newer, but don't fit the need of the district. So, you know, and I think that it needs to be said, ladder 2 is the ALF, and I've aggressively tried to find people to buy it, meaning, you know, a Brindley Mountain, Fenton Fire, you know, even Glenn from Command Fire. Nobody wants to give us money for it because can't get the parts. Now there's some people that say, well, if you can get, you know where you can get them and this and that. The reality is they get them out of a place called Fireline out of PA. That's where the things come. If they don't have them, then it's a needle in the haystack. So my original thought process was dump them when they have value, meaning selling both ladder 2 and 3 when they have value. Ladder 3 still has value. If we're only going to get 20 or 30,000 for ladder 2, and that's the ALF, if that's all we're going to get, realistically, that's what we're going to get, first of all, we gotta find somebody that'll give us that 20 or 30,000, which we can put it up on Auctions International, and we might get that. Or do we run it, put it back in the fleet, run it for 2 years, and if we get another 2 years out of it for just the PM money, might be the home run. If the fire chief in the chief's office can operate that way, if we get 2 or 3 years out of it, you know, it could break tomorrow. It could break tomorrow. We might find it needs what they call a new spindle on the ladder. If we can't get the spindle, it's going to cost $20,000. Then dump it. But what if we do get 2 or 3 years out of it? We could, and correct me, Becky and Jack, help me with the numbers. We moved some money tentatively from one line to another to spend, right? Help me. Can you explain that to me? Where did we come up with the 130? I can't remember what you told me. The 130, if we were to buy a truck tomorrow, where would that money?
It's coming out of operations, but a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit.
So if we don't spend that, that can go back to wherever we needed it from.
Well, the ideal situation, and I'm not in favor, because I just am so afraid that we're gonna make this move. It doesn't matter. The whole thing of it is if you do it and you send Myers Corner's truck back, are you within your water capability again?
Well, we're gonna have to move some trucks. We're gonna have to move the tanker to Ballin Station 1, which I'm gonna do anyway, because they can't get it out here.
That's neither here nor there, but anyway, if you're within the water and we send Myers Corners back, everybody's gotta realize that we're talking 2 to 3 years, but next year, if we make this move, take all the money that's left over and put it in the truck fund so that we can start building that truck fund up, that you may be able to just do another new truck a year and a half sooner than we anticipated. I don't have a problem with that, but everybody's got to remember, once you make that decision and you lose the truck, the used trucks that you're talking about, whether they're 18, 17 years old, that we think are a better buy, if something drastic goes wrong next year, you're going to be short a truck.
Yeah.
It's not something that we can turn around in a month and a half.
No, it's a crapshoot. I mean,
No matter what we do, you could end up in trouble, but
I think we all agree with that.
so.
For that's probably the best statement that we can all agree on.
I
I
just-
struggle, just so it's very open about it. I don't want to spend $100,000 or $120,000 on a truck that's older than what I'm trying to get rid of. We did challenge the chief. This is the second phase, and that's where some of the breakdown went, was, Chief, we're gonna buy you a truck, but it's gotta be 8 years. So that's where the question came into play with the Moyers Corners rig that they've been gracious to let us use. We'll buy that, but Chief, that's your truck for 8 years. You're gonna bank on that truck for 8 years. That's why we're here. That's why I kind of went backwards and thought, with ladder 2, I've done the maintenance on the thing. I know the records. I know right now there's no money that we have to put into it. There's nothing we have to do. Do I think it'll break tomorrow? Probably not. Is it possible? When I leave here today after I made the statement? Who knows? The pump's solid, the transmission solid, the rear end solid, the engine solid. Are you going to have, Chiefs, problems with window regulators and actuators? You bet your life. Are there going to be problems with door locks and stuff along those lines? You bet your life. But the components wise, Watrous, I believe it's a Watrous pump, Allison transmission, those are the type of things that we can still get. Board, I think, going out on a limb here, I think putting ladder 2 is what I'm suggesting back in the line. The chief's office has agreed that it'll work.
I mean, I'm not saying we're You know, we're all tongue in cheek that.
I didn't say that, but look there's 30 different opinions. We gotta, I'm telling you, as a Tony, I can't find a truck that I'm comfortable spending $100,000 on that's gonna last 8 years. We put you in that position, I'm in that position. That's me as an individual. People have looked, I don't have anything for you, the other chief's officer, the board. I don't know what to do. I'm home run on the Cody engine, but that doesn't come along very often. That's just my opinion.
I don't know, I'm really up in the air on this because I know what you're saying, and if we went that route, sent the Myers Corners truck back, moved the trucks around, whatever you have to do, and you keep the ladder too, I still would like to see the board continue looking for a good used truck, because you know yourself that every once in a while, one pops up. But everybody's gotta keep it in their mind, when one pops up and it's a good deal, you can't hem and haw on it for 3 or 4 months. Because I know there's probably a truck out there that we could get that'll buy us that 7 years we want. If we get through 3 years, we get through 3 years, but
I think you're onto something, Jack. Just because
to
we're
give up the idea of buying a used truck, I think is a bad idea. Because then you're depending on it,
looking.
you know? That's all I have to say on the subject.
I support your recommendation.
I do too.
So we're in
You're
agreement with
pointing me again.
Yeah. Are you gonna come to us next month and say you need money for tool? I think there's enough tools to go around, isn't there?
Yeah, there's not tools. The only thing that I would, if I send it over there Thursday or Friday to have them look at it, I'm not sure how much of the list we worked on when they did the ladder maintenance. I think we took care of all the category 2s, but if there's category 3s on there, I want to get an estimate of what that.
By all means. I mean, if we're gonna run, it's gotta run.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's the only thing I would ask. That
let us know.
we put some money into it if we, minor repairs if we need to. But we should know that after we get his report back on Friday.
And the ladder was tested, so that's.
But if you remember, there's always, when they test a ladder, there's always a sheet that comes out afterwards, the different categories of repairs that, like, 2s have to be done, 3s and 4s don't have to be necessarily done at that time. I'd just like to have a look at that report. And we may have already fixed those, because I sent that report over with the PM tester.
Put it back in service. That's my opinion.
I'll make a motion that we put ladder 2 back in service, continue looking for a used truck, and return Myers Corners truck as soon as ladder 2's in service, and whatever else the chiefs need to do. We gotta get out of this truck situation. I know people are gonna be unhappy, but we're in a terrible situation right now.
I would say yes.
Do you have a second?
Yes, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And the last thing, just to advise the board that I'm probably either this weekend or probably this weekend, I'm gonna move the Lysander tank to Ballsville Station 1, only because now that we're losing some water, we gotta make sure that water gets out on all calls, so it's the center of the district, so I've already told Jen at the Chiefs meeting Friday night that we would be doing that. I was gonna wait a little while, but now that this has happened, I'll do it sooner. So, and I moved our engine 8 that's out of service up here to park it, because I'm running out of parking places.
Well, if you didn't have a huge truck lot down there, you'd be all right.
Chief, do you have to check on any impact with boxes
Oh, the box alarms have been changed.
to account for it being moved into,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't know if Cody or some of the neighboring ones have it on a box.
They'll just be, that part I haven't done. But we're in the process of changing some box numbers anyway, so we'll just add this to the report that's going into fire
Yeah, but-
control.
The thing of it is, this engine can respond as a tanker.
Oh, all right.
Am I correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Correct?
Yeah, the engine.
Yeah, the engine can respond as a
Yes.
tanker if we
Yeah.
get a mutual aid decoding.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure. It's been a while since I've been around, but I thought it was.
Anything else?
I don't know.
Thank you. We have no resignations for this month. We do have a new member in Baldwinsville, Jeffrey Priester, thank you. I'm assuming,
Yes.
I know
Physical and
physical came back, background check's back,
Mhm.
okay. So he will be approved, no changes in Lysander. Old business, Station 3, new Baldwinsville Station 3 update. I sent everybody an email out a week or so ago on the proposal for the phase 1 and the hazardous material report that needs to be done. This is a report that I guess typically would be done prior to purchasing a building, because a bank would generally require you to have this information, but since we didn't go through a bank, we didn't have the report done. The construction manager said that we should have this done, because if they start work and anything is found, then all work has to stop, everything has to be tested and taken care of, so they said rather than getting in the middle of work and stopping it, they're recommending having testing done, getting it out of the way, knowing whether there's any problem. There's 2 quotes. The phase 1 is the 1980, and then the hazard is approximately 3325, depending on what samples they test and how many, yeah. So roughly total $5,305. I need to do something with it. Yeah?
I'll make a motion to pay a total of $5,305 for the phase 1 and the hazmat assessment.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that. Yes, I should say yes.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Other than this, the construction manager and Elizabeth at VIP have been working back and forth. They're in the process of getting the bids together so that we can go out to bid. Tentatively, we're looking at the end of October. They were talking like the 21st, somewhere in there. They sent over an AIA report, which honestly I really don't know what it is. But I sent it to Bill Young and he reviewed it and he had a couple of suggestions back to Elizabeth for that. But everything seems to be moving forward. We did run into a little snag with the town that Megan and I are working through because apparently the plans expired, the approval, so we have to ask for an extension. So we're in the process of asking for the extension with the village. But Greg didn't seem to think that there'd be any problem with it. So that's kind of where we're at with Station 3.
About the roof.
I haven't gotten to call contractors yet. I have been out of town. But that's on my next. Yeah, I have to get the roof patched. So yes, that'll be my next foray, is trying to find contractors to patch the roof. And that's it. Chief's vehicles. This goes back to the bid. I've talked to Bill a couple of times, and basically we have 2 options. We can award the bid to the lowest bidder, or we can reject all bids and rebid it out if we so choose. Those are our 2 options for the Chief's vehicles.
Or he could write the best value resolution, wasn't that?
You can, and we do have it here tonight to read, but we would still have to reject the bids and
Understood, but
rebid them.
Now, is that good for any bid, or do you have to approve that best value resolution every time you send out an award, do you know, or would we have to ask Bill?
I would have to ask him, but I think it's good for anything. It's just when you put the bid documents out, you have to reference the best value, that it can, the best value is gonna be used in the
Right,
process.
I get what you're saying.
You have to remember, and best value is a good tool, but you have to remember, best value, you still have to follow all the bidding procedures, all the bidding stuff. And when you reject, if you get 2 bids and one, there's difference, you have to do a comparing analysis of it. Strangely enough, they touched on this subject at the training session I was on over the weekend. And, because departments were using it and they were using it wrong. You still have to do an analysis, and you still, it can't be, well, he met the spec, but he's better in this spec. You can't use that. You have to use a comparison like, I'll use a tool, for instance. We talked about the battery, and he said we couldn't use that, the cost of the battery in 3 years. You could use that in this case, because you could show it, the comparison. You can't, it's like somebody brought up safety, and the answer to the safety answer is, if the vehicle meets New York State or federal highway safety regulations, then it meets the safety regulations. You can't make up things, and it has to be analyzed. So what I did for everybody, if you would like to read it, this is the seeking competitive thing, and that Best Buy thing is on page 8, and it says right at the bottom, whether a local government or school district elects to award a purchase contract based on lower responsibility or best value, they are required to compile the public advertising bid offering opening requirements that apply to the purchase contract and the thresholds, and then it gives you the analysis. It's not like we could set up a meeting. Somebody's going to have to sit down and analyze. Like this, they show 2 trucks, price of truck. Vendor B is $5,000 more, but fuel cost over the useful life 10 years, you're saving money, and maintenance cost over 10 years, you're saving money, and that has to be documented. This is the procurement thing they gave us out there, so if everybody would like one, and you just can look at it and say, you know what? That was the only thing that they were careful on. They said be careful with the best value. It's a good tool. Like the perfect example is the tool thing with the battery.
Yeah.
But you gotta watch what you're using, and it has to be analyzed, and you have to show a comparison, and it has to be attached to the bid. And I believe it even tells in there that you have to notify the lower bidder. And again, like Becky said, it has to be in the bid package that you're basing the bid awarding on best value. I don't know how it goes in there, but it has to go in there like Becky said. But it is the way to do it. So if you just want to reject it and start over, I guess you can do that.
I'd like to make a motion to reject all the chief's vehicles bids.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Opposed? Carried.
Could we make sure we check with Bill on the time frame so that we don't get one of these vendors that was a low bid, and then next week he gets another bid package and it has that added to it, so that we don't get it and then we award it, and then the guy that had the lower bid the first time has it again and does a complaining or something. Just want to make sure we do it right, because if we're going to take a higher bid, we want to be right so we don't get in trouble.
Any other old business?
I think that this is relevant old business to bidding, I think it's relevant. There's tools in place, and I kind of referenced it to last meeting. Maybe you come across wrong, maybe it was a little emotional, whatever, but there's tools in place for municipalities, which we are, villages, towns, governments, and fire district, to be able to get equipment. Again, I referenced HGAC. I referenced state bidding. Those are the two I'm drawn up, but there's two other I'm drawing a blank. But the bottom line, that's a tool that is accessible, that's 100% legal. I never would suggest circumventing bidding processes, but there's tools in place to do things, streamline processes. I think in the end, it actually saves us a little bit of money between the amount of money we send to our attorney. Why are we opposed or afraid to use those tools? That's
we've used in the past.
because with the engine, for an example, I had suggested, let's take a look at HGAC. That's how we purchased, if I'm not mistaken, Lysander Engine 2 through HGAC.
Okay.
Why did we moving forward, why don't we use some of this tools?
I'll speak in that reference. The law is very explicit that you are supposed to be in good faith to get the best buy for the taxpayers. It doesn't, in other words, and an attorney will tell you the same thing, and if you ought to know it too, state bid, HGAC, there's two other ones out there, they're not always the best bids you're going to get. So just to go directly to them and say, hey, that's a good deal, let's get it, you're not, in my opinion, we're not acting in good faith and really finding the best buy for our dollar. Yes, it can be done. But even if you go to HGAC, you still have attorney fees because you still have to follow New York State procurement policy, even through HGAC. We had to do it when we bought the engine from Ballinsville. We had to send all the paperwork to Bill, and then Bill had to contact HGAC had to send him all the bidding information and how they bid it, where they bid it, how they bid it, and he had to look it over and then okay it. You still have the attorney fees. It's not like you can go on the HGAC site and find a chief's vehicle or a pickup truck and just buy it. You still have to go through your attorney, it still has to go through New York State procurement policy.
I get it. We've done it before. I mean, as a group of 5 commissioners, we sit down and figure out, hey, listen, this is the best. Again, I know, chief's vehicles were on that state bid. It was 100%. We weren't circumventing anything. And I hear what you're saying, but it almost says, look, this is in place. This is in place, but don't use it. When we need, tires for the chief's vehicles, or tires for the trucks, we go to state bid, we can get them. I just think sometimes that there's tools and resources in place that we just don't utilize to the maximum efficiency.
I understand what you're saying. All I'm saying
Going
is
forward.
there are other. It's like tires, state bid. You go to get tires for state bid,
Right.
and tire company says, I'll use tire company A says, hey, we got state bid. Here you go. Do you realize that for them to do that, you're supposed to get from them the contract number, when they bid it, and when it was up? And we don't do that. We just come in and say, hey, that's state bid, and we just say, well, if it's state bid, it's got to be the best. You still have to investigate the pricing in that. And when we did the chief's vehicles, we were going to buy them from HGAC, am I correct? Problem with the chief's vehicle is they get delivered to the nearest Ford dealer. They were going to get delivered to the nearest Ford dealer in Dallas, Texas. And then we had to pay transportation for them vehicles to here. They wouldn't ship them directly to a dealer up here. Fire trucks are different. And a lot of districts do use it for, if you're in a hurry to get a truck, when you're trying to buy one that's coming off the line, and that's what we did with the towing truck. But that had to go in the paper and it had to be bid. And if somebody was with HGAC said, wait a minute, we got the same truck, and our truck's $5,000 cheaper, and it's coming off at the same time, which I don't know how that could happen, or they can make the delivery, they would get it. There's still a bidding process. It's not like it's an open book. That's all I want to remind you of. Yes, the tool's there. And if it's used properly, I don't have a problem with it. But if you try to use it to circumvent getting the best for the taxpayers, it's not right, that's all.
I want to make one last point, and then we can move on. The Village of Manoa right now has ordered this is the Village of Manoa Municipal Fire Department has ordered an E1 truck that they spec off of HGAC. You're allowed in everything that you say I respect. I think that we might have a difference of an opinion. With that being said, there's tools out there I'd like us to explore moving forward. Not trying to circumvent anything, but there's certainly simpler ways to do things sometimes, I think. That's all. But thank you for listening and look forward to moving forward.
All right, on to new business. Penn Power contract.
I should have made copies for everybody, but I didn't.
Oh, that's the generators?
Yes, the generators. This is our annual PM contract for the generators.
Maybe send it to Jeff and have it scheduled for, bring it back up in 2 weeks.
Yeah, do you
Are
have
we
this-
under contract currently?
Yes.
Yeah.
When is it
And
up?
this is a 2-year agreement.
When is it up?
November 1st.
Yeah.
Did any pricing change?
I don't think so.
Do you have it electronically?
What do you mean?
Do you have this electronically in an email and then something?
Yes.
Can you send it to all of the commissioners so we can
Sure.
review it? Maybe
Can
bring
you
it up at the
copy Jeff?
workshop? Send it to Jeff as well?
Okay.
And then we can review it and we can act on it at the workshop?
Thank you. Here's the hard copy back.
Should at least know the contract is, so they can call for maintenance.
All right, resolution 1930 to dispose of surplus vehicle by sale. All right.
Resolution to dispose of surplus vehicle by sale. Whereas pursuant to section 17623 Town Law, the Northwest Fire District located in the towns of Lysander and Van Buren, Onondaga County, State of New York, does hereby declare that its 2002 Spartan VIN 4S7 HT 23922C 040791 and 1989 Spartan E1 VIN 1S9 BT9B07KC 185299 with associated equipment and apparatus is no longer necessary for uses and purposes in the Northwest Fire District. And whereas the Northwest Fire District intends to advertise for the sale of the aforementioned vehicles and to receive offers to sell said vehicles, and whereas the Northwest Fire District proposes to accept the proposal with the highest amount bid and dispose of said vehicles by accepting said offer, and whereas the Board of Fire Commissioners of the Northwest Fire District believe that such offer will be in excess of $20,000 and will achieve the best reasonable value for these vehicles. Now therefore be it resolved that the Northwest Fire District is authorized to dispose of the vehicles with associated equipment according to the best offer from prospective purchasers and to dispose of said vehicles by accepting the highest offer. And it is further resolved that the acceptance of the proposal for sale will achieve the best reasonable value for these vehicles. And it is further resolved that the sale of the 2002 Spartan and 1989 Spartan, because of its estimated value in excess of $20,000, is subject to a permissive referendum pursuant to Section 6G of the General Municipal Law. This resolution having been adopted by the Board of Fire Commissioners at its regularly scheduled meeting on October 8, 2019.
Tony,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Becky,
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Yeah, so next resolution?
Resolution 19-31, it is hereby resolved by the Board of Fire Commissioners of the Northwest Fire District at its regularly scheduled meeting on October 8, 2019 that, whereas the Board of Fire Commissioners have periodically the need to acquire apparatus and equipment and have worked publicly performed at property owned by the fire district, and whereas pursuant to Section 103 of the General Municipal Law, the Board of Fire Commissioners have a need to enter into contracts pursuant to the terms and requirements contained in the aforementioned Section 103 of the General Municipal Law, and whereas pursuant to Section 104-B of the General Municipal Law, the Fire District Board of Fire Commissioners have heretofore adopted a procurement policy, and whereas the Board of Fire Commissioners now have determined that it is necessary to modify and change the aforementioned procurement policy by adding the authority to award bids on the basis of best value as defined in Section 163 of the State Finance Law. By best value, it means the basis for awarding contracts for services to the fire district which optimizes quality, cost, and efficiency among responsive and responsible offerers. Such basis shall reflect, where possible, objective and quantifiable analysis. This resolution was adopted upon the roll being called and the following members who were present and voted as follows.
Tony?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Becky? Yes. Jack?
Yes. That resolution probably should be attached, from what I understand, it has to be attached to our procurement policy in our book. You have to make sure that gets in the book as part of the procurement policy.
1932.
Oh, we already did 32, sorry.
Oh.
32 is the paving.
Resolution 19-33, override real property tax cap. I love this one. Whereas the Board of Fire Commissioners of the Northwest Fire District must adopt a proposed budget for 2020 and estimate the fund balance in preparation for the annual fire district budget hearing, and did so in preparation for the budget hearing, and whereas the Board of Fire Commissioners of the Northwest Fire District held the annual fire district budget hearing on notice to the public on October 15, 2019, and whereas the board has considered the proposed budget and comments received on the proposed budget on October 15, 2019.
Hold on, maybe we can't do this yet. I think we have to do this after the budget hearing.
Final answer?
Yes.
No, we've done it before the budget hearing. But I thought Bill, never mind. We can,
Because today's the only the 8th, and you're reading
The 15th.
the 15th, which you
Yeah,
haven't
we got it,
done
yeah,
yet.
budget after. Sorry. All right, it's a little ahead of the game, jeez.
That's okay.
Save that for next
Gives me
month.
time to rest up.
Put that back on the agenda for November. All right, any other new business?
can I say something about that? You might want to call Bill on that, because I don't know if he can do it at the November meeting. When is the November meeting? What's the date?
The
12th.
12th?
Well,
The 12th, you turned the budget in on the 4th, that's impossible.
All right, then do it on the workshop.
You're gonna have to do it at the workshop. That's another question.
No, you're out of questions for today. But
You used
Uh,
your limit.
Letter 2. You did a full referendum to sell the truck, and the public said, yes, sell it. Should we call and find out if we have to do anything different, because we're not gonna sell it?
we have to revoke it, but yes, I can still.
I'm just not sure.
Well, let me ask you this, is there an expiration on that? You know, I'd like to keep it, you know, listen, if somebody comes up and says, hey, you know, give you $100,000 for it, it'd be nice to be able to do that. Not that I think it's gonna happen, but why revoke it if we legally don't have to, just keep it? I mean, I don't know.
I don't have an answer, I'm not an attorney, but all I know is if it was a permissive referendum, I wouldn't say nothing, but it was a full referendum, should we put in front of the public to sell it? And they said, yes, go ahead and sell it, and now we're saying, no, we're gonna keep it and put it in the fleet, but we might sell it a year down the road or 2 years down the road, I don't know. I would rather have the attorney's opinion, not mine. He may say exactly what you're saying, Tony, that there's no
Yeah,
expiration.
I don't know, whatever we gotta do. Want it to be right.
never easy, is it?
No.
All right, any other new business? All right, station usage, Baldwin Station 1, Sunday, October 13th for a party, and Lysander Station 1, Friday, October 11th for the auction. Comments from the public?
Got your letter, thank you.
Any need for an executive session? All right. Next meeting's budget hearing Tuesday, October 15th, monthly workshop Tuesday, October 22nd, and then the following Tuesday, monthly meeting is Tuesday, November 12th in Lysander. So with that, I will adjourn the meeting at 8:30.